Welcome to Sam's Business Growth Show. I'm Sam Dunning, a digital marketing, sales and business growth evangelist. Tune in and subscribe today as I'll be interviewing business leaders, experts and entrepreneurs from around the globe. You'll be learning their story, how digital marketing has helped them along the way, and exclusive tips and insights to help you skyrocket your own business. Hi everyone, and welcome back to a fresh episode of Sam's Business Growth Show. Excited to be joined by Alex Goldfayn today. Alex Goldfayn, he grows companies. He's the CEO at Revenue Growth Consultancy, and they basically work with organizations to implement systems of remote and proactive selling, increasing sales by up to 10 to 20% in new business annually. Not only does he actually implement the systems, his brand new book, 5 Minutes Selling for his clients, but he also applies the approaches to his own firm, one of the highest grossing, most successful solo consulting practices of any kind in America. Alex's brand new book, 5 Minutes Selling, is out now in the UK and the USA. So today we're going to be talking all about the book, actionable tips in sales and marketing that you can apply to your own business, to your own sales, to make it happen from today. Alex, a very warm welcome to the show, sir.
Sam, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm grateful. Thank you.
No worries, dude. So looking forward to our chat today. There's going to be plenty for ourselves to go through, and we'll have a little Q&A at the end for everyone tuning in to ask any questions to yourself. Before we get to this juicy info, we'd love to know a bit of background on yourself, really, Alex. So it'd be good to know a bit more about you. So your background, where you grew up, perhaps some of the key places you've worked at up to starting your own company, and any lessons you could share with us in sales, marketing, or business in general, sir.
Sure. So I've never had a job. So I've always been in business.
Okay.
I started my first company, I think, when I was 20 years old, and I've been in business ever since. I've been an entrepreneur my whole career. Sometimes it would be nice to get paid every 2 weeks, Sam, but like especially now during a pandemic. But you know, look, everything's a trade-off, right? So there's lots of great things about running your own consulting practice, which is what I do now. So going all the way back, I don't know how far you want me to go, but I had a computer training business when I was 20. I was in grad school for clinical psychology, and I had a computer training company. That company grew up to about 12 people. So I ended up about 24 years old, 12 people, and we were teaching the customers of our clients, right? So they would make a custom software, and we would learn it, and we would create material, course material, and then we'd go and teach it. And I was 24. I had people working for me who were in their 50s, 40s, and they were managing me. I wasn't managing them, big business for a kid. But I was the only salesperson. And I remember we had a headquarters in one town here in Chicago is where I live. We had a training center in the Loop, which is downtown Chicago, right off the main train station.
Yeah. And
all the staff and all that office space, I remember it cost me something like $80,000 a month just to open the doors. Right. Whoa. That was the overhead, because it was nice space, because it was training center, right? So everybody was coming to the space, so it had to be nice. And it was so hard to keep it afloat. And when the internet bubble burst, it all sort of went away, And I was 24 years old. And I remember the week before our wedding, literally in the week before our wedding, my dad and I were moving out furniture from this office. And it was a gigantic failure, really my first proper major failure in life, right? The first of many. But everything before it sort of worked, right?
I was going to say, you must have learned a lot though, Alex, especially I think you said you grew to 12 staff or so, and you're only 20 years old, and you're renting a place that's $80,000 or so. So you must have been doing something right. Well,
I certainly learned a lot. And I remember promising myself back then, I'll never have staff again. That's what I said as a 24-year-old. It's just so miserable, man. It's the week before your wedding, and you're moving this furniture out with your dad on your back, loading up a freaking U-Haul, and it's been 20 years. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to be 44 years old. So it's exactly 20 years.
Oh, happy birthday!
I have never had another full-time employee since that time.
Really?
So I've been in business ever since. I run a solo consulting practice. The last 2 years it was a $3 million business, actually bigger than those companies with the 12, 13 people that were in them. Actually, grossing more sales solo. I have a lot of people that I work with. I have an executive admin who works half time with me. I have lots of other people who help me. But I've been working from home ever since. It was a lesson that was seared into me, and it still stays. I don't know if this is what you were looking for, but
this is exactly what I'm after, man. Myself and the audience like the raw truth, and I'm much the same as you. I work at home. Whilst we've got a small team, I know the issues that can arise with managing a large team and payroll and all these kind of things that you forget about until you start your own company. So it's interesting you should say that. So okay, so you did that for a while, and then you've had various businesses in between, kind of starting your own business now, have you? And it's your solo business, rather.
The business I'm doing now is about 12 years old. I've been doing this for most of those 20 years, and it's interesting. We in Chicago, our baseball team is the Chicago Cubs, and the Chicago Cubs have a president who runs baseball. His name is Theo Epstein, and I don't know if any of this makes any sense to the British with us, but I think the quote will. He says, "Growth isn't linear. Growth isn't linear." And he's talking about baseball players, but development doesn't go like this. Right. And it's the same in sales, and it's the same in business growth. It kind of goes like this, and you hope that it goes like this in an upward trend, And I know that there's been multiple times in our lives, my wife and I, where we've been out of money. Now, luckily, it's been a while, right? It's been many years, but we've had times when literally there was no money left in the bank. And if I didn't sell it that week, we wouldn't have been able to pay the bills. So, when I write about sales growth, my last book here over this shoulder, Selling Boldly, and then my current book, 5 Minute Selling, which we're going to talk about today, which is today's the launch day in the US for this. It's based on things that I do. And it's also based on things that all of my clients do. And as you said in the beginning, my clients average 10 to 20% new additional growth directly from this work. And we know because we track it. We tie dollars to the actions they take that are in this book. And so for everybody listening, everything I do with my clients, so I work with teams, I work with organizations of sales teams. And, a company hires me. And then if you're on the sales team, we get to work together. But if you're not, we don't get to work together. This is a book that's for you, the individual. So I wrote this so you can do everything my clients are doing if you want to, apply it to your work and to your selling, and grow like crazy. And so in 5 combined proactive minutes a day, I've seen salespeople double their sales. Sam, I've seen them triple their sales. In 5 total minutes. Now, I know it seems crazy, but look, in 5 minutes, does it?
It does indeed.
In 5 minutes, I can leave 10 voice messages, for example, right? Okay. 30 seconds. I have a script in here. There's a lot of scripts in here, so there's what to say. And if you leave 10 voicemails a day, the way that I write it up here, to people that you know, so not cold calls, but people who know your name, Sam, and whose name you know, I average 1/2 to 2/3 call me back so that we have a nice conversation together. So if you do 10 a day in your 5 minutes, if that's what you choose to do, the book has 16 things like that you can do.
Got it.
And the idea is you want to mix them up. You don't want to do just one thing. You want to mix them up. But just for this example, 10 calls a day. Let's say you get all voicemails. That's 50 a week, 200 a month, 2,400 a year. 1/2 to 2/3 will call you back. Let's just say 1/2. Let's half of 2,400 is 1,200. Let's round down to 1,000, right? 40%. 40% will call you back. Sam, that's 1,000 conversations in a year. Proactively. And the key here is you make the calls when nothing is wrong. Customers only hear from us salespeople when something is wrong. I screwed it up. I can't get it to you on time. the price is going up, right? Aren't you glad I called? The price is going up. They only hear from us when something is wrong. I'm saying call people that you know, customers and prospects, when nothing is wrong, and connect with them and tell them you want to help them. And nobody will say to you, no, I'd rather you not make my life easier today. Everybody wants to be helped because we don't have a lot of people like this in our lives.
Got it. So we're talking about being proactive.
A system of proactivity, being systematically proactive. The difference is what the math we just went through, right? The difference is thousands of actions a year, or out of system, we kind of make a call when we think of it, when we happen to think of it. And so now you're in the single digit calls a month, right? The key, the system is the key. So a little bit every day, all the time. That's the key. All the actions are simple. All the actions are fast, and none of them cost any money to do. But the key is a little bit every day, all the time.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're going to jump into 5-minute selling, and we'll thrash out perhaps some actionable tips, some sneak previews that everyone tuning in live or tuning in on the podcast after can take away and can put into action. What I'm quite interested to know before we jump into this stuff, Alex, is so you've built up your business over the last 12 years or so, and you said you've built it into kind of millions or so of dollars in terms of revenue, which is awesome, especially as you're on a solo consultancy. So it'd be interesting to know how you've actually made that happen. Perhaps you could share with us some of the strategies you've actually put into play,
Sure.
Be it from a sales perspective, be it from offline marketing, or also digital marketing, which we're always interested to talk about on the show.
Yeah,
great to learn.
So mostly, Sam, by speaking. So for me, speaking is my social media. I'm not terribly good on actual social media, but last year I tend to do, in normal times, I tend to do like 75 to 100 keynote speeches, seminars, workshops, and in the audience sit my prospects, and some of them become my clients. And really, that's been the key to my business growth. If I look at my calendar and I see speeches, I know my business is growing. These days you look at your calendar and you see interviews and podcasts and webinars, right? So,
sure.
So that's, kind of in a short, simple answer, speaking has grown my business, right? Not emailing, not social media, speaking has.
Got it. Okay. And is that something you've actively sought out? Is that something you knew there was going to be a good strategy, or is it something you've tried several strategies over the years and that's just one that's proven to bring leads in, bring new clients your way?
Yeah, I think all of that, Sam. I think it's worked well for me from the beginning, but I've kind of streamlined and improved my process for it, for bringing people from being in the audience to becoming a prospect and then a client. I think that and it is intentional. So I do things in my work only that I like. So I've created my business around stuff I like to do. If I don't like to do it, I'm really good at avoiding it. Like if I have to do something I don't like, I'm really, really good at procrastinating on that thing like crazy, right?
Same here.
So since we're in business, we don't have to do the things we don't like, right? So either I find somebody who's good at doing that thing and enjoys it, and they do it for me, or it turns out sometimes that the things which we avoid actually don't have to get done at all. Like nothing terrible happens if you just scratch it off the list, So either I don't do it or I find somebody better to do it. One more point about this. Have you ever avoided something for like months, weeks, months, and it's been in your head, that I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And it's literally been in your head for weeks or months. And then you finally get to doing it. You finally sit down to do it. You're like, okay, I'm doing it. And it takes like 10 minutes to do, and you're done. 15 minutes, it's over. It's been in your head for months, right? So, and I'm good at doing this. Like I'm good at avoiding things like that for that long. So don't let it live in your head, right? Either do it and get through it, scratch it off the list. If it's been there for months and it hasn't been done and you're still alive, right, it probably doesn't really have to get done. Or find somebody good to do it and let them handle it.
So true, man. Did exactly the same with this podcast. Like I was talking to you before the show, I found that it was editing and producing all the episodes after, chopping them all up, making sure that all the sound was right, doing the subtitles, doing the videos, just took too much of my time. And it was kind of breaking into my selling time, my business time. So I just got a friend that I knew enjoyed this kind of media work and just pay him every month to do it. It means I've got more free time to focus on kind of what I want to be doing. So yeah, that rings true. And I'm sure it's something that's going to resonate with everyone tuning in. Interesting, dude. And I know kind of to talk about digital, I know you're pretty active on LinkedIn. I know you're putting out a lot of video content there and on YouTube I've seen as well. So is that something that's helped your growth, that's helped your own business?
You know, it's a place, I think, like with the books, it's a place to connect with people and I'm just trying to help as many people as I can. You know, consulting projects are great if you happen to work at those companies, and it's a place to put out as much value as we can. To help as many people as we can. And that's kind of how I think about them. I know there's probably a better way to think about them, you know, as a conversion tool and so forth, but I don't think a lot about conversion. I think about helping as many people as we can reach. And it's one good way to reach people, right? And my normal way to reach people during the pandemic has been, you know, not just diminished, but all but gone. Sure. So I think these things will continue even when we get back to normal times. You know, I think there's a lot of value in putting out as much helpful material as you can. Makes sense, man.
Okay, yeah, I like that approach to helpful material because there's a lot of nonsense that goes out. So making it actually helpful for people you want to engage with is a good way of putting it. All right, let's jump into the book, Alex. 5 Minute Selling, as you said, is out now in the UK, out now in the US. So it'd be awesome if we could go through, because you said at the start there's a whole bunch of 5 minute daily tasks that we can put into play and essentially improve ourselves. So perhaps we could talk through, without giving away spoilers and giving away too much of the book, perhaps we could chat us through, I know just now we talked about some of the systems, but maybe some of the key systems that people tuning in could implement, or some tasters that we can take away from today.
Yeah, sure. So look, when you make a call, when you think about it randomly and you just do it once in a while, it's action. It's an action, and it's like a snowflake that falls to the ground and melts and it's gone, right? But when you do it in system, like we talked about, 5 minutes, 10 a day, right? 50 a week, 200 a month, 2,400 a year. You have a blizzard. You don't have snowflakes. You have a blizzard of activity, of phone calls, of opening new business, of progressing business, of closing business. If you connect with 1,000 people to have a conversation with them this year, there is no possible way for you to not sell more. You couldn't, if you tried not to sell more, you couldn't do it. If you're talking to 1,000 people more this year than you did last year, right? So to that end, the book, Sam, is based on 2 planners and 2 trackers. So, okay. And you could go to my website and download these. So I'm just going to hold one up here. I know some of you are listening on audio and some are looking at the video, but there's a proactive call planner, for example, on this side of the page. And then on this side of the page, there is a weekly follow-up planner. And the idea is, at the beginning of the week, sit down for 5 minutes and write down who to call this week. I feel like most people don't make proactive phone calls when nothing is wrong systematically because we don't know who to call. This is how complicated my stuff is, right? We don't make calls because we don't think through who to call. And look, we're surrounded by names and numbers. Email is a list of names and numbers, right? Thousands of them. Text messages, names and numbers. CRM system, names and numbers. But unless you use that CRM perfectly, and almost nobody does, we have nothing in our lives that gives us a list of who to call, right? So unless we put 5 minutes into creating that list, 5 minutes, not 50, not 5 hours, 5 minutes, and you can, in 5 minutes, you could probably write down 25 names, 20 names because it's open book. Or this is not a closed book test that you're being graded on, right? It's look at everything and write down who you want to connect with. And so
got it. So are we talking about ideal prospects here, Alex, or are we talking about existing clients? Or
yes, we're talking about, I think the category that brings everybody into it is we're talking about people whose names you know, okay, and people who would recognize your name. And we're not talking about cold calls.
Right.
That's the key. We're not talking about cold calls. Even though today, I don't even think we have cold calls anymore, Sam, because we're all living through the damn pandemic. You know, we're all living through the same thing. So you and I could spend a half an hour talking about everything we have in common, right? How's your family? How are the kids? What happened in the summer for them? Did they have activities? What about school? Are they going to school? Are they remote? Are they virtual, right? What are you guys doing for your company? You already told me you work from home, but are people going into the office or is everybody working from home? You and I could talk for half an hour about that. We don't know each other at all, right? So there are no cold calls.
Sure.
Back to who to call. Call people you know. So the call planner that you can download has 8 different kinds of people you can write down. So for example, customers you haven't talked to for 3 months or more. It's a great group of people to call because they're not calling you and you're not calling them either, right? So right now, try to think of 5 customers you haven't talked to in 3 months or more. It's hard to do. You can't do it because they're not in your head. Another category is customers who used to buy but stopped. They went away. Again, try thinking about 5 people like that. You can't do it because you're not talking to them. For most salespeople, like 90 to 95% of us, we work reactively, which means the phone rings, we pick it up, we take the order, or we help the customer with what they need. We're in the customer service business. We have to help the customer, right? There's no choice. We can't say, I'm sorry, I'm doing my proactive work right now. I can't help you.
Yeah, let me jump in there, Alex, before we carry on. So I'm often guilty of this, being reactive. So I'll often wake up and I'll have a page, sometimes even 2 full pages worth of emails. Some of that might be new business inquiries. Some of them might be leads. Some of them might be my existing clients. Some of them might be my own team. So there are a whole bunch of kind of new leads, existing customers, own internal issues, all this kind of stuff. So how should we, as sales professionals, as business owners, or even marketers, prioritize this kind of stuff? Or should we just go straight into our 5-minute list building for the day? Or should we go into prospecting? Or how should we prioritize is the question, I guess.
So look, you have to do that work, right? We can't not do that work unless we come back to the earlier part of our conversation, which is you find an admin to get through it for you, right? But only some of us can do that, right? You and I can do that because we run a business. But a lot of the salespeople listening to us, they don't have that option, you know? So I think you have to do that work. And the beauty of 5-minute selling is I'm not suggesting you tear down your current system and rebuild it. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong. I think you're doing it quite right. You know, if you've been in business, if you've been in sales for any amount of time, I think you're doing it plenty right? I think we need to infuse, superimpose 5 proactive minutes on top of all that reactive work that you're doing. And that will make you stand out, Sam, from the 90 to 95% of salespeople who are purely reactive. I'm telling you, those 5 minutes a day will separate you from the competition. So if I called you, here's what you say. Sam, it's Alex. I was thinking about you, man. How's your family? Because remember, we know each other, right? You recognize me. I know who you are. How's your family? How was the summer, right? What are they doing in the fall for school? And listen, I was just wondering, what are you working on these days that I can help you with? Right? That's the language. And when you call somebody like that, nobody's going to say to you, no, I'd rather you not make my life easier today. They're going to say, oh my God, this person wants to help me, right? And they don't have anybody like this. See, we think their phones are ringing off the hook. They are not. They are not ringing off the hook. Nobody's calling people. If you talk to your customers, they will tell you that the only calls they get is from people who want something or need something. But somebody who calls when nothing is wrong, that's the key. When nothing is wrong, to ask how you can help. What are you working on these days that I can help with? What do you need quoted? What's on your wish list? What do you buy from others that I can help you with, because we're talking on the phone now? We're together now. Why should you have to think about it again later in the day? Let me help you with it. You got me now. Let me help you. I want to help you. People are going to be like, holy smokes, right? This is special.
They're not used to it.
No, it's singular. And they will literally feel like they owe you business, Sam. They're going to be racking their head on, well, what can I come up with to give to Sam so that he can help me, right? They'll be trying to find places for you to help because you're there. And they'll say, well, what about this? And what about that? And they're going to come up with stuff you don't even know to ask about, which is the beauty of this. So that's how it works.
Yeah, it sounds so simple as well. So are we talking usually doing this kind of first thing in the morning, or perhaps on the weekend prepping it, Alex, in terms of getting this list of people that you already know? They might be existing clients, or there might be people you're already talking to. And then, making the list, the names and the numbers, calling them obviously out of the blue. There's no issue. There's nothing that's wrong. It's more just you're getting in touch with them. You're asking them about themselves, what's going on with them, and then if there's anything you can help with. So it's pretty simple. Is it just something you recommend people thrash out at the start of their day, or just make time for each and every day, or is it that kind of thing?
So you put your lists together at the start of the week. Again, 5 minutes total. You can do it Sunday night, Monday morning, however you like. And then if proactive calls out is what you're doing, first thing in the morning is best. So Mark Twain said that if you're going to eat a frog, you might as well do it first thing in the morning, because it's not going to taste any better in the afternoon, right? And we know, and they said if you got to eat 2 frogs, eat the bigger one first, which I like, right? Eat the hardest, most complicated thing, get it out of the way first. So by 2 o'clock, it's over. I mean, we're in full reactive mode, right? By 11 o'clock, we're in full reactive mode. It's like working out, for me. If I don't do it very, very first thing in the morning, it's just ain't going to happen, and I know that, right? And some people have the evening. So, if you miss it at your window, it'll never happen, right? Same thing. So first thing in the morning, say between 8 and 9:30, that's your window. By 9:30, the phone's going to be ringing like crazy, and you're going to be reacting, or perhaps your emails will be coming in, Sam, as you said. So that's when, first thing. And then you've gotten it done, and you're going to feel good. You're going to be happy, you're going to be positive, and it's going to improve the rest of your day.
Makes sense, man. So get it out of the way. Like I say, I'm much the same as you, so I enjoyed that analogy. If I don't work out first thing in the morning, or sometimes it's got to be in the evening, depending on what's going on with our kid, then it's just not going to happen. Which is much the same as this. It'll just take over you. The calls will start coming in, the emails start coming in, and you'll just lose track, and it snowballs. Cool.
I tell you, just a quick story. We're doing a lot of podcasts for the book, which is launching now. And we're just talking to lots and lots of people setting up these interviews. And only one guy called me. And he called me on the phone and he said, Alex, just got your inquiry, wanted to talk for a minute and, see if there's a fit. And he's the only one who called me. And when this is done, and it's going to be a year from now, who am I going to remember? Right? I'm going to remember the guy who picked up the phone. Now, I don't know, he wasn't selling me anything, but the person who calls is memorable because nobody does it. The phone now is more important, probably just as important as it was in the 80s, Sam, when it was the only thing we had. I would suggest it's more important than Zoom because everybody's Zooming and still nobody's calling. It's interesting. I think it comes down to the fact that the Zoom calls are scheduled almost always. You have to schedule the Zoom call.
Yeah, true.
But the proactive call, because you're going to get a voicemail, and we view voicemail as a rejection. I've been rejected by the person because I got their voicemail. It's a lot easier for salespeople to go to Zoom than to go to the phone. And still, in a pandemic, when nobody's seeing anybody, when nobody's traveling, when nobody's running around, Sam, we're all doing the same thing. You're sitting at your desk. I'm sitting at mine. We all have our damn phones right next to us, and nobody's calling my phone. It's silent. Nobody's calling anybody's phone.
On the phone topic, Alex, I'm looking at your table of contents for your new book, 5 Minute Selling, and I'm seeing, yes, you should leave a voicemail. So this is a bit of a controversial topic. So why should we be leaving voicemails?
Is it? I think you leave a voicemail so they hear your voice, so that they know you tried, so that they hear your name, so that they know that you care. And, look, let everybody else hang up, and for us, whose job it is to help people. We're going to leave a message because I want you to know that I called, and I want you to know that I tried, and I want you to know that I cared. And when you don't leave a message, you don't communicate any of that. Not only that, I want you to hear my name and hear my company name, right? And I want you to know that I want to help you. And I'm going to say that in the voice message, right? I'm actually going to say that. So I think we absolutely should leave a voice message, right? And as I said, when you leave these messages, the way that it's written in the book, I get 50% to 2/3 calling me back. And then the other thing we do is every day. So every day I do 5 calls. I'll just tell you what I do in my work since the speaking went away, right? And that was my business development. And so every day I do 5 calls.
Okay.
And then on top of that, we send out 7 text messages where we have them, or emails trying to schedule a call also. And about half of those turn into a phone call. Because again, I know these people, right? We know each other. And when we don't have, so here's the list is we text. If we don't have a text, we send a LinkedIn message. If we don't have a LinkedIn message, for some reason, email is always the last damn thing on the list. It's the last option, always. Sending an email is almost the same thing as doing nothing. That's how useless it is for B2B sales. Almost the same thing as doing nothing. So 7 requests for a conversation, 5 actual calls. That's 12 communications a day, right? That's 60 in a week, 300 in a month. I mean, how can my business not do okay if I'm doing that?
Just small actions each and every day, it sounds like.
The system, man. It's all about the system. It's all about doing things in process and not doing it for a day or two or stopping, which is how most people do things.
Got it, man.
It's got the tools. And look, if you want to grow sales, here it all is on a silver platter, right? I'm holding the book up. The book is the platter. And just do these things. But this is, I say to every audience, that I do these workshops and speeches in. Everything we've talked about here, Sam, the people watching us or listening to us, they probably already know these things, they probably already know them. And so, and I know that, that the phone call is better than the email. I mean, who doesn't know that a phone call is more effective than email, right? Everybody knows. But knowing doesn't make us any money. It's the doing that makes the money. And so it's not enough to buy the book and read the book. I want you to do the damn book, right? I've got chapter 2 is called, I don't want you to read the book. I want you to do the book. You got to do the work. People say, what's the secret, Alex? Everybody grows. Look, I got a $300 million manufacturer client right now, and they're up 60% in California, 70% in the Northeast. They're up 60% in the South. They're a $300 million business. This is how much my clients grow. And people are like, what's the magic bullet? You know what my answer is? There is no bullet. The magic, the secret, it's the work. The work is the secret. The grind is the secret. We've got to do the work. You know what to do. We've got to do it. We've got to talk to people. Look, and the reason we don't do it is fear. We don't want to be rejected. And so the answer is the phone call, one good conversation, one positive interaction. You're going to feel good. You're going to be enthusiastic. You're going to connect with people. Look, the phone calls everybody is having right now, they're longer, they're deeper, they're better. You connect more with people because nobody's talking to anybody like that. One phone call will get you out of the vicious circle of avoiding conversations, avoiding proactive action, not doing it because of fear. And it will move you into the success circle of having conversations, creating good results, generating activity, telling people you want to help them, and them responding positively to that. One call is the answer to get you from the vicious circle to the success circle.
Is this not something you can do with a LinkedIn message? I'm hoping you're going to take the bait.
You're hoping what?
I'm hoping you'll take the bait.
It's a softball, isn't it? Do y'all have softball in the UK? Is that something you guys do?
I think is it similar to baseball?
Yeah, but with a big softball.
Ah, right, okay. I don't know if we do. I'm not sure we have that.
You don't have that. So I guess in soccer, it would be a free kick without a goalie, right? So look, you can't do it with a LinkedIn message, because on a LinkedIn message, they can't hear your voice. On a LinkedIn message, you can't ask questions and hear answers. On a LinkedIn message, you can't put your feet up on your desk and just relax into a conversation, and ask about their kids. And plus, look at your damn LinkedIn inbox, and look at all the crap, the automatic junk in there. Is that where you want to be? Right? Is that what you want to be one of? I would like to be the only person calling your phone, as opposed to one of 1,000 people in your LinkedIn inbox. So when you think about sales growth, think about, how do you stand out from the crowd? And I would suggest that it's really easy. And the answer is proactively communicating to people that you want to help them and being present. Look, I'm not suggesting anybody needs to care more. I think you all care more than enough. We all care a lot about our customers, a lot. What I am suggesting is we need to communicate that care a little bit more. Communicate that care. So tell people that you care, because if you care in silence, nobody knows, right? It's like a tree falling in the forest. Who knows that you care? Nobody knows. Not telling anybody. I'm not present. I'm not showing up. I'm not calling. Nobody knows. If you send a LinkedIn message, that's not care, right? That's fearful, timid, careful rejection avoidance. That's what that is. So,
got it. And I love the point about standing out from the crowd. Now, Alex, so there's 16 different actions. We've talked about some of them. Without giving too much away, as I've been saying, is there perhaps one more action that you could share with us that the audience can take away?
Yeah, absolutely. And I never worry about oversharing.
In that case, let's go through all 16.
I'm happy to give everything. Sure. So the quote follow-up or the proposal follow-up. You've sent your quote or proposal, right? And each of these things is a chapter in the book, right? So all the different proactive call actions we talked about, each of those is a chapter. The quote follow-up is a chapter. They don't need a chapter, they need a paragraph, but I was writing a book and they made me write chapters, right? So, because we know, everybody knows how to follow up on a quote, but if you think it through, you've sent the quote or the proposal, right? The customer asked you for it. You've done all the work. You've done 99% of the work, 99%. You've built a relationship, you've served the customer. They came to you for something. You stopped what you were doing. You wrote up your quote or your proposal. Now they have it and they're being silent, right? And we don't want, most salespeople, just with what we've talked about already about fear of rejection, most salespeople don't follow up on that because they don't want to hear a no. We'd rather not ask for the yes because we're afraid of hearing a no. Because if you reject me, Sam, I'm going to die. And when I die, my family won't be able to afford our house anymore, and then the kids won't be able to eat, right? This is how big the fear is. Now, we don't think in those words, right? I exaggerate for effect, but it's fast. The fear is not even milliseconds, it's microseconds in our head. It's automatic. It's automatic thinking. It's in our subconscious, and it stops us from doing the follow-up and asking for the business. And so when you reach out to somebody and say, Sam, where are you at in that quote? I was thinking about you, right? I'd love to help you with that. That 3-second follow-up will close 20 to 30% of what's outstanding. And we know this statistically. And it's the last 1%. You've done months of work. This is 3 seconds to get the business. Get the business that you deserve. You deserve that business, and they deserve your help.
The line is quite proven to close businesses, Alex.
That what the line that I said?
Yeah, let's
I mean, just any line. The language is less important than the gesture of showing up and saying, I want to help you. Now, where are you at on that? This is important to me, right? It's important to me to help you. So the gesture is critical, and these things are proven. We know 20 to 30% of quotes will close. We know that 20% of did you know questions turn into business. Did you know I can also help you with X or Y or Z? Another 3-second effort, right? So Sam, ask me a did you know question about web choice. What can you do for me?
Did you know we did SEO?
No, I didn't know. Ask me another one. What's another thing?
Did you know we build websites that convert visitors into customers or new leads?
Beautiful. Now, can you give me 3 more? Can you give me 3 more different things that you do?
Sure. Did you know we do paid ads? Did you know we did social media? Did you know we can become your full outsourced marketing agency?
That's great. So that's 5 things. Right now, I'm assuming
without boring the audience too much.
Assuming we're talking in an actual business conversation, right? You asked me 5 did you knows. we know statistically that 20% of them will close. 20% of did you knows close. So you asked me 5, and I pushed you to 5 so we can get 1, right? 1 is 20%. That's how long this takes, Sam. If you're listening to us, if you're watching us, that's how hard this is. Ask in system. There's a whole chapter on did you know questions too. That's you firing services at me. The another action is the reverse did you know question, which is you asking me what I need. So I would say to you, Sam, what other online services for your website or for your brand do you need? Or have you been thinking about? Or might you be looking for? And then I would shut up and I would let you think about the answer and tell me the answer. So the reverse did you know question asks the customer to name what they're looking for to you. Some of my clients say, what else do you need quoted? Some of my clients say, what other projects do you have coming up? One of my clients was telling a story in a workshop. He said, he said to his customer, what's on your wish list? The great line. He said, she started naming things and he's like, she was saying so many things, I couldn't write them down. It was so fast. And so he said, she got to like 6 or 7 things and he goes to her, can you just email me the full list so that I can see it all? And she goes, sure, because he's helping her, right? She's perceiving it correctly. He's helping her. So I said, how many things did she email you? He goes, in 15 minutes, she sent me 24 things. 24 things. I said, well, how many have you? He's standing up talking to all of his colleagues in the workshop so that they're hearing it too. It's a big part of my process. We marinate people in success. And I said, how many things have you sold? He says, only 18. Only 18 of them. I'm like, dude, you got 6 more to go. Let's go. Get on it. But look, each of those products, if you sell products, each of those products is a repeating order, right? Meaning you've just sold the first one, but then they're going to need it again and again and again. And what we're doing is we're stacking repeat orders on top of each other. You probably get paid monthly, Sam, right? There's monthly payments in your work as you do these services for people. So you're stacking monthly payments on top of each other. You're not stacking a 1-month payment or a one-off order. You're stacking repeat business, one on top of the other. And that's how my clients grow so much, because we do this in system.
Got it. And on that note, is there a certain time period, Alex, that we should be doing this to our contacts, to our existing clients in terms of reaching out? So should we do it every X amount of months or every month continuously, or do it 1 month and leave them for another quarter or that kind of thing? Is there a system in terms of time that we should actually put into it and how often we should communicate with our clients or our prospects?
Yeah, like how much time to let pass in between communications? Is that what you're asking?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think the answer to that depends on the business that you're in, and also further would depend on your customer, So you might have, really good customers who require communication every day, depending on what you do. You might have other customers who are medium. Let's say you have, one of the things we do is we split up the biggest customers, the mid-sized customers, and then the smallest guys, and we look at who can grow, who can graduate to the next group, right? So I would say different people have different rates or spacing of communication. But I would also say, Sam, don't think about it too much. Just help people. It's impossible to over communicate with somebody if it's helpful. I'm trying to help you. I've had over 10,000 salespeople go through my projects and over the years. And I mean, maybe I can count on one hand how many of their customers said to them, stop trying to help me so much. and even then it was like a joke. It's a half joke, Nobody will get mad at you if you're trying to honestly help them. And that's the key. So you have to be comfortable, folks, with the fact that you're offering these people incredible value, because you are. Right? And I believe that, and Sam believes that, and your customers believe that, and now you have to believe it. So if you're uncomfortable with it, you'll just avoid doing it, and the customer's going to feel your discomfort too. But if you're comfortable with it, and the customer says, well, geez, stop trying to help me, right? Remember, 10,000 salespeople doing this over 12 years, which is millions of actions, millions of documented actions, and less than 5 people have said, get out of here, right? Stop trying to help me. And I would suggest for those people, that's their problem. That's not the salesperson's problem. That's their problem.
Agreed. I love that quote. It's impossible to over communicate with people when you're being helpful.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. Really well said.
So stop worrying about it.
Awesome, man. So, Alex, we've covered some great ground. And before we tell everyone how they can get their hands on the brand new copy of 5 Minutes Selling, we do like to ask if there's one thing that businesses can be doing with digital marketing that's going to help them from today, what would you say it was?
Ask me again while I think about it. If there's one thing businesses can do, what?
If there's one thing that businesses can be doing with digital marketing that's going to help them from today, what would you say it was?
Got it. I think if you're B2B, I really think the best place for us to be is LinkedIn. And I think our customers are there. That's why it's the best place. We want to go to where the customers are. So I would intentionally look at your LinkedIn system. Again, system. I'm all about systems. And make sure you're actively demonstrating what you can do for people on LinkedIn who can buy from you. I think that's your key. As there's less and less opportunities to connect with people face to face, we have to look for other ways to connect with them, right? I think your phone is your number one. And then digital marketing wise, I think look at LinkedIn, not spamming people's inboxes, but as a tool to demonstrate your great value to them. That's why when we talked about LinkedIn at the early part of our conversation, Sam, I said to you, I'm just trying to put as much value as I can out there. I'm just trying to teach people exactly what they can do to grow their sales. And so I think that's the thing. I don't know if it's the right answer, but I think that's the thing.
Sure. And just to dive a bit deeper on that, are you using things that have kind of worked in your own experience? So things that have worked for your own business. And then as you, as an example, Alex, you put out quite a lot of videos I see from your page. Is that just a case of sharing tips that have worked to grow your consultancy over the years, and then you're sharing them with your audience, or is it something a little different?
You know, I think videos and sort of communicating, again, value, communicating help, which is how I think of them. I think they're helpful in several ways. First, and books are the same way. You know, they're helpful in the moment that people are watching them. They're helpful when you put them out, you get some awareness because you probably put a link to it or promote it somewhere. And then they stay around forever, right? So if somebody's researching me, if somebody's thinking about working with me, and I do big projects with clients the last 6 months to 12 months, you know, so a lot of this stuff is you know, making sure that I have lots of helpful stuff out there when somebody's making a decision. And what I'll do is I try to make it active, not passive. I'll send links to things to prospects when we're talking about a specific project. So I'll go find things that apply to them, and I'll send links. You know, just like when my book was in the airports where everybody's traveling, right? It's not there anymore because, you know, nobody's traveling. But I can't tell you how many clients and prospects take a picture of that book and send it to me, and people feel almost like proud of the fact that their consultant or their advisor is out there like this. And so it's only helpful. And plus you're helping people, and that's cool.
Love it, man. Love that point that you made about the video in terms of it's something that's always there. So if someone does a search on you later in the day, they might find you. Or also what I've found with some of the video content that I've put out, be it podcasts or be it other video pieces, when I'm talking to people about certain new digital marketing projects, for example, I've probably got a video on it from somewhere, so I can just shoot a little link in the email. I can say, look, I did something about this the other day, rather than read a lengthy email. Just look at this vid, man, or girl, whoever it is. Just a nice way. The
key is to get active about it as opposed to passive. You know, passive marketing rarely generates business now, but active communications generates business now. And so that's what to do. Now do both, not to the exclusion of passive. We want both. We want to stack both on top of each other, but active communication leads to quick wins. Passive communication on its own probably won't lead to many wins at all.
Activity is king. Everyone, you've been tuning into Sam's Business Growth Show. We sit down with business leaders, experts, and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We find out their story, how digital marketing's helped along the way, and their exclusive tips and insights to help you skyrocket your business and skyrocket your sales. Alex, we'd like to ask everyone that comes on, if you could thank just one person, either dead or alive, having a positive influence on yourself and your career, who would that be and why?
That's a good question. My dad, alive, 68 years old. I think I got that right. Lives 20 minutes from me with my mom. But the reason I say him is when I was 2 years old in 1978, we lived in the Soviet Union. I was born there. And they dragged our butts out of there. And my dad dragged us out to America, to the enemy. We came here with $20. That's it. That's all we had. We had $20 US. No language. Didn't know anyone. Traded his engineering job in Russia for, washing dishes and delivering pizzas. And we came with $20. A couple of years ago, he retired as the head of engineering for Baxter Pharmaceutical and their IV lab. And I get to run a $3 million consulting practice. So my dad is who I thank for all that.
Great stuff, man. Great story. Alex, tell us a bit more about how people can grab themselves a copy of 5 Minute Selling and the best way people can learn from you and connect from yourself.
So 5 Minute Selling is on Amazon, launched today in the US. Today, as we shoot this on Tuesday, the 25th. Launched simultaneously, rarely, in the UK and Europe. So they did a dual print run in the UK and in the US. Most business books are only launched in the US by Wiley. And then they put them on a boat for 4 to 6 weeks and they come to you guys. And then you get them a month and a half later. Well, 5 Minute Selling is available now. You can buy it now and get it in a day or two, however long it takes Amazon to deliver where you are. So go to Amazon and you can buy 5 Minute Selling there. If you want those planners and trackers, go to my website, goldfayn.com. My last name, goldfayn.com. We'll have a link somewhere, right, Sam?
Sure thing. That'll be in the description.
And you could get your free download there. You can even get it before you get the book. So everything's there.
Awesome, man. And you're on LinkedIn as well. So if anyone wants to follow you, make sure you follow Alex Goldfayn on LinkedIn. He's putting out tons of great content in terms of sales and in terms of marketing. But otherwise, thank you so much, Alex. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, Sam.
Are you tired of constantly hunting for new customers? You could be missing out on regular inbound opportunities, all because your website isn't on the first page of Google. Perhaps you're already spending lots of money on advertising, but your website is failing to convert all of your hard-earned visitors into a consistent flow of new customers. If you'd like to learn more about our unusual approach that brings ideal clients straight to you, connect with Sam Dunning on LinkedIn or book a free 20-minute consultation via webchoiceuk.com. That's webchoiceuk.com. Subscribe today for more digital marketing, sales, and business growth tips from the experts.